So
mad to me.
so we're planning on flying out to St. Lucia in 2 weeks. Yeah, if this whole fucking variant thing doesn't,
calms down, doesn't go crazy.
He'll
like,
be fine. Maybe.
honestly, COVID just needs to relax, man, because
Fucks up people's plans.
working far too hard, bruv. There's just so many times you can remix the same song before it gets boring, bruv. I'm telling you, I'm sick of this beat, bruv.
Can we just accept that COVID has won? We've lost.
Yeah.
No.
COVID won. COVID won. You won. You won. You're going to be here forever. We're not going to get rid of it, right? We've lost.
I mean, the way evolution goes with viruses, normally they keep mutating and mutating and mutating.
There's like a
until they
different-
But
kill
it's
themselves.
just going to come. I think it will just become a variant of the common cold. You'll get a booster for it. Every couple of years, bam.
Yeah.
People that deny vaccines in this day and age, what leg do you have to stand on, right? You know what piece of misinformation really winds me up? When people say, oh, there are more people in hospital in the UK who've had the vaccine. Yes, because 80% of the country have now been vaccinated.
Is
So
that
naturally,
misinformation?
of course, what do you
Is
mean?
that misinformation?
It's misconceiving.
Okay.
80%.
So they're using stats. They're using stats to make their point, not showing the true value
Exactly.
of the stats. Okay.
But if you look at the deaths, more people, the majority of deaths, right, from COVID are now from unvaccinated people. But the vast majority of people who are in hospital or have COVID or get COVID are vaccinated.
Okay.
But that's because 80% of the country is vaccinated.
Yeah.
So naturally, there's a much more larger sample size to choose from.
Yeah, of course.
Who could get it?
Yeah.
But if you are vaccinated, your chances of surviving COVID are much higher than someone who's unvaccinated. And people say, oh, it's not a vaccine because it doesn't protect you 100%. Very few vaccines give you full immunization from the disease.
Yeah, they're getting
by definition.
they're getting mixed up between a vaccine and a cure.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
But most people think a vaccine is a cure.
Yeah, it is.
Because you get your shots when you go to Africa, right?
Yeah.
Or when you go to the Far East.
Yeah.
And they get you for like TB and whatever, right?
Mm.
And they go, and when they say it, they're like, this does not mean you're immune. It's just going to increase your tolerance massively.
Yeah, of course.
Still get it.
Like, so I remember one time, years ago, I got a typhoid vaccine. No fucking clue what typhoid is.
I don't even know what that is.
Yes, I remember, because they this was back when in my skinnier days, I didn't have no arms or anything like that. They had to inject it in my thigh. I could have walked for like 2 days. That was awful.
You were that skinny.
Oh, my bro, when I was younger, I was skinny, like proper skinny. I got old photos somewhere. I'll send you a picture. You can put for the people to see. But yeah, I was mad skinny growing up, man.
It's crazy. I can't imagine that.
Yeah, I was proper skinny.
It's shocking to me, the amount of misinformation out there. These COVID passport things, I do think are a bad idea. I actually, at the start of COVID, I worked on a study to gauge public perception on COVID passports.
Was that the one that got published?
It got published, yeah.
Come on, let's
Come on, you know
go.
the vibes. And the vast majority of the UK population, and across the world actually, many countries, were for COVID passports. At the time, we called them immunity passports, right? However, I do think it will just polarize people more. And you see that around the world. So the policies that are being put in place in Germany now, where you need a COVID passport, or in Scandinavian countries where you need a COVID passport to enter places.
I'm pretty sure Wales is doing that.
I think it causes I think it causes too much polarization, and the negative impacts of it will outweigh the positives of maybe getting the COVID numbers down a little bit.
Yeah.
I think it's an opportunity cost thing. How much are you willing to polarize people and anger people to reducing COVID incidents by maybe, I don't know what the number is, but a number that's probably not worth the hassle.
The only way it would work in my head is if it was a blanket thing across the globe. I.e., every government came together, or every UN country came together and was like, look, this has become mandatory.
I don't think that's a good idea either.
Why?
Because you don't want to give any conspiracy theorists a further leg to stand on. Because they hear that and they'll be like, you see, Illuminati, New World Order. That's the first thing they're going to go for.
Well, I won't even lie to you. Conspiracy theorists are my favorite kind of people.
You know this whole Great Reset thing, right? The Great Reset. Have you heard of this?
Nope. I've not.
So the World Economic Forum put this policy together, not this policy, but this campaign together, which they do every year, right? At this massive conference where they invite world leaders and influential people, billionaires, to come to talk about global issues. They'll talk about COVID these days, and they'll talk about climate change. And they came up with something called the Great Reset, about how do we build back better post-COVID, right? And how can we put policies together that can make people work from home more efficiently, that protects the environment. What lessons can be learnt from this, basically?
Okay.
And they called it the Great Reset, which is a terrible name, right? Because all that's going to do is it's a fear-mongering name. And it puts more fear in the heart of people who are inclined to think conspiratorially.
Yeah.
Which is a bad idea. And a lot of the time, conspiracy theories, I think, get worse really from bad PR, public relations from governments. Because they don't communicate science properly.
Right.
And it puts fear in people. And it only bolsters the fear in the mind of conspiracy theorists.
So basically, you're saying we shouldn't do anything because the conspiracy theorists will.
No, you should do it properly.
What does proper look like?
For example, if I'm going to hear about why we need to take COVID seriously,
you shouldn't be hearing it on a podcast with three guys talking shit.
No, I shouldn't hear it from Boris Johnson.
Not wrong.
When Boris Johnson isn't exactly trusting Boris Johnson. If you look at the polls, people don't trust Boris Johnson. So what makes you think it's a good idea for him to communicate scientific evidence?
My bro, he doesn't even comb his hair most days.
So. Exactly. Scientists, and you should alternate the scientists so people can't latch onto a particular scientist and then blame them for everything. So, for example, we had those two scientists who were on the TV all the time, and eventually they became targets.
Yeah.
But it's not their fault. There are thousands of scientists around the world who are working on these issues every day.
Yeah.
So
but they become the target of conspiracy theorists.
They should have made or got not a full guy, but someone that is built for TV that people can relate to communicate this message.
Yes. What we know in research, right? Communicating scientific consensus to people reduces their belief in misinformation. So communicating consensus amongst scientists about climate change, for example, reduces people's belief in climate change misinformation. We needed to do a better job at communicating the consensus amongst scientists around the world on the effectiveness of vaccines, and that shouldn't come out the mouth of a politician.
Right.
Because people generally don't trust politicians anymore.
Yeah, that's fair.
Post-COVID, absolutely.
People have greater trust in science than politicians.
And then how do you get the people that don't believe in science?
Well, that's the issue.
We're getting deeper.
The problem is, listen, you're never going to eradicate misinformation. You're never going to eradicate people who believe in misinformation. You're never going to get everyone to believe accurate information all the time. However, if you conceptualize misinformation as a virus that spreads through society, all you have to do is treat it like a virus. With a virus, you're never going to eradicate COVID, but you need to marginalize the spread of it enough where it can't go through an entire population and wipe out hundreds of thousands of people. You need to make its effect minimal. It's always going to be around, but you need to get it to a place where it can't spread exponentially. That's what you need to do with misinformation. Minimize its spread. You're never going to completely eradicate it, but how do you get to a place where the spread of misinformation is minimal? And I don't have the answer to that because it's an extremely complicated answer.
Well, you do a PhD, you should figure it out, mate.
That's the
if
I had the answer to that, Viraj, I'd be a billionaire.
Okay.
Well, get to work, bro. I'm trying to eat.
I'm trying to eat too.
Tell me about it. I don't even have a job.
Well, Merry Christmas.
And Happy New Year.
How the fuck